Hello everybody, Demon Redmus here, and I'm going to try and do a quickish video, as the title says, for the DGT NOO Redbull Ring tips around Redbull Ring on GT Sport. And I'm going to do this for, I'm doing it for a couple of reasons. One, just to help people out, and two, just to hopefully highlight a couple of things that'll really help people, which is the same as the first one. Okay, I think probably the first thing I would say about this particular track is that there is really only 1.5 big braking points. That's turn 2 and turn 3. Turn 2 being the hairpin at the top of the hill, and 3 being the corner after. I'm not counting a wiggly straight as a fucking corner. Turn 1, it's not really a heavy braking point, and neither is the rest of the track. However, depending on how you drive the circuit, depends on whether you are right now thinking that I'm right or wrong. Now, what many people may find as they drive this track is that they're having to brake a lot. And if that's the case, it means you're braking too late, I would say. Now, it's quite simple around this track in this Porsche. This Porsche is a lovely car to drive around this circuit. So I can tell you straight off the bat, braking point for turn 1 is 100 meters. Braking point for turn 2 is 100 meters. Braking point for turn 3 is just before 100 meters because it's downhill. And the braking point for turn 4, I'll have to check that, but turn 4 all the way to the finish line, you barely have to use the brakes. But what a lot of people may do is be on the brakes a lot from turn 4 onwards, and hopefully I'll be able to show you here at least how I try to do it. Okay, first thing to really know about turn 1 as well is that in this car is that we need to straddle the yellow sausage curb on the apex. Now I'm going to change view for this as well. So yeah, on the apex and on the exit. For turn 2, as I said, we're braking 100 meters and we brake hard and we stay on them. So we're going to be on the brakes, we're going to brake hard, stay in a straight line, turn in towards the end of the curb, and come off the steering as early as possible. First gear, really pushing through there. If you're spinning there, it's because you need to come off the steering. Okay, brake just before the 100. We don't have to brake loads, we can come off the brakes quite early. This corner can be done in second gear. Personally, I'm sort of toying between second and first. Braking point up here is about 75 meters, 60 meters. Second gear, tuck in towards midpoint and then really floor it. Up to third, braking point at the end of the curb. Second gear for the left-hander to tuck it in, and then we can be flat out. Final corners. Braking point for this one's about 75 meters. We're going to be approaching it probably fifth gear. It's a gentle bit of braking down to third, off the brakes, off the throttle, get it turned in, hook onto the curb, let the car run wide. And then gentle dab of brakes down to second, turn in end of the curb, straddle the yellow sausage, and we floor it. Okay, so let's see if we can go through that. So we're going to brake 100 meters for turn 1, and we are going to brake quite heavy initially. Then off it. Now I didn't quite straddle the yellow curb because I'm not used to this view, but we got the braking done, we were off the brakes when we turned in. Okay, braking at the 100 meter marker board. And as the power goes down, the steering comes off. Okay, brake just before 100. again, we're off the brakes before we turn in, and I will explain in a minute why. Okay, brake about 75 metres, down to second, off the throttle, let it tuck in. Now we're at the curb, we can go up to third, dab a brake at the end of the curb, down to second, tuck it in, and we're flat out through the rest of it. Okay, we're going to brake at 75 metres, gently, off the brakes, tuck it onto the curb, let it run wide, dab a brakes, down to second, get onto the yellow curb. Now, feel free to rewind this and look at how much brake I am actually using. That's the good line. Oh, I got a little bit too eager with my steering angle on, but it was a good line over the apex curve. Now there, I still had the steering angle on when I went full throttle. So you have to be bringing that steering angle off. Brake just for 100. Like I say, that is a heavy braking one, but we want to be off the brakes when it comes to actually turning in. 75 metres, gentle braking, off the brakes, let the car tuck in, and then get on the throttle, gentle dab of brakes, down to second, tuck it in, and then we're flat out. $75 meters. Nice line. Okay, let's see if we can get this nailed a little bit better. I mean, I'm off on my lap times, but that's good. So I got on the throttle a little bit later and I was off the steering a bit more as well. Much more stable on the exit. But if you don't straddle that first apex sausage curb, you will lose time in that corner. Straightened up the wheel as I went full throttle, and I mean fully straightened up the wheel. Reapplied a bit of steering, but I didn't lose the rear end. Gentle braking, off the throttle, let it tuck in, and then feed that throttle back on. Now for the final corner, I will point out the braking point. It's the red and white pattern on the side of the track. So as we're accelerating down the hill, where the red and white ends, dab a brake. Brake after that, you're not making it. Okay. So that lap time's not too shabby. I mean, 28.70 is not bad. I mean, it's on the camera view I don't usually use, so it is slightly off, right? But what I hear often, and this is what I always hear over the years, is I watch other people and they seem to be going slower, but then they're going faster, or I'm doing the same things, but I don't seem to be able to go as fast as they are, or they seem to be braking much later than I am, or braking much earlier. And a lot of it can come down to just the type of the track. Now, for this particular circuit, one of the things I've mentioned is that personally, I want to get all my braking done before I apply any steering. The reason for that is, around this circuit, the tyres do take a bit of punishment, and you need your front tyres. So if you're still on the brakes while you're applying steering around this track, chances are you're going to hurt your tyres, because where are you going to be still on the brakes? Potentially turn one, you're going to be all out of shape and a bit wobbly on the curbs. Turn 2, if you're still on the brakes while you're turning in, you've definitely braked way too late. But from turn 3 onwards, if you are on the brakes while you are steering, you are cooking your tyres. Whereas if you can actually be off the brakes fully and turn in, your tyres will last much longer. But also, if you wait before you get on the throttle, your tyres will also last longer. But what it will allow you to do is to be much more consistent with your lap times. But how do you make sure that you're not braking when you're going into the corners, when you're turning? Number 1 is start braking at the right point. Number 2 is brake the right amount. Okay, so as I mentioned, turn 1 and 2, 1's not really that heavy. 2 is very heavy braking, right? So stay on that pedal all the way to the end of the curb on the right, on the left hand side. Turn 1, we're hard on the pedal initially, but then we feed it off. Turn 3, we're hard on the pedal initially, and we keep it on as long as we can, but at the point that we need to turn in, we're off the brakes, okay? And we let the car roll down into the corner. And for the rest of the track, gentle braking at the right time is so much more efficient than hard braking. So for example, people will find it very difficult to get around the last 2 corners here if they apply the brakes hard. They'll find that they actually struggle to slow down for the corner, okay? Now, hopefully I'm going to be able to try and show a little bit of this, just so that you know I'm not talking out my arse. So this is all about braking at the right point and braking the right amount for the corners, okay? And being off the brakes. So, as I mentioned, turn 2, we're hard on the brakes and we stay on them. So we're hard on the brakes and we stay on them until here, and as we turn in, we're off the brakes, and as we get on the throttle, we're straighten the steering. Now down here, if you're braking at 100 meters or later, you're not going to make the corner, or at least you're going to be really slow and hurt your tyres. But if we brake just before the 100 and we brake really hard and stay on the brakes to about here, now we can start feeding the brakes off, turning in towards the end. Now we're fully off the brakes and we let the car roll down the hill. It'll continue to slow down, and then we can be on the power, and now we're stable. And the key part of this particular corner is not just the gentle bit of braking, but it's getting it down and being off brakes and off throttle until we've got to the apex point. The more on brakes or on throttle you are into the corner, and the same goes here, the wider you're going to end up. Okay, right, let's drive wrong. So what I'm going to try and do is brake at the same points, but, well, I'm going to brake at the same points in some of the corners. I'm going to brake a little later in others, but I'm going to be trying to stay beyond the brakes when it comes to turning. So as soon as I start to turn in there, the front's sliding, and then the rear's all over the place. Now here, you should never be on the brakes still when you're turning. So if you do get it wrong, you're better off going straight or taking evasive. Okay, this is one I do see a lot of down here. So I braked at just about the normal spot. Didn't make the corner though, didn't slow down. Now, because I went full brakes, I was going too slow, and then I sped up, but then I had to get off the throttle. All cars sliding. So, because I was hard on the brakes and trying to turn, the front end wanted to grip and turn, and now hurt me tyres. Oh, I've got to speed up, so I'm going too slow, but then I'm having to get off the throttle again. Trying to intentionally drive badly is not easy, by the way. So I'm going to continue on with this for a moment. So again, I've got the car slowed down, but because I was still on the brakes when I was turning, the car's sliding, it's all over the place. I'm hurting the tyres and I'm losing time. Still on the brakes, and again tried turning and the car's sliding, and because it's sliding the tyres are hot, so on the corner exit try and get the power down and the tyres say fuck off mate. So I'm going to brake late for these ones this time. So I've made the corner, but I'm all out of shape. I'm squealing the tyres. Now it might feel fast, and it might look fast, and it might sound fast, but it's fucking slow, and it's punishing me tyres. So it is very messy. Oh, wobbly. Okay, now I've done what? I'll continue on fucking this lap up, but it'll be 3 laps. Now, anyone that knows me should know what I'm about to say here. Too much steering angle, too much throttle applied, but also because of the way that I was on the brakes when turning into the corner, the tyres are already hot. It makes it even worse. Now, just to put it into perspective, I've done 3 laps and look at my tyre wear. It might not look a lot, but I know from doing practice, I would not expect that amount of tyre wear until I'm about halfway through a 27 lap race. That's how much damage I'm doing to the tyres, just by staying on the brakes. Now, the other thing that I've mentioned as well is that if you brake at the correct point, but you brake fully when you really only need to be braking gently, what you'll find you'll do is you'll slow down too much, then you're going to want to speed up, which then means you've got to slow down again. Now that may tempt you into thinking, well, I can brake later, but actually no, don't brake later, brake less. Okay, so what I'm going to try and do now is same set of tyres, they've had a heat cycle, they've had a bit of a cool cycle. I'm now going to try and drive properly using the correct amount of braking, or what I would class as the correct amount of braking. So remember, for turn 1 we were braking at 100 metres and we were hard on the brakes and staying on them and sliding in the corner. But because I was fully off the brake pedal when I turned in, the car was completely stable. Come off the steering. Okay, so braking at just 4/100. Off the brakes, let it roll round the corner, and now we're stable. Now we're into gentle braking. Off the brakes, off the throttle, let it sit in, and then we can push it on the exit. So on a lap where I'm actually braking a lot less, I'm going faster. Braked a little early, but I don't mind that. They're going to be a 28. 28 one. Now because at turn 1 I'm off the brakes as I turn in, it's stable. It means I can get on the power so much earlier and actually not be afraid of spinning. Okay, so hard on the brakes just before 100, feed it off fully off the brakes as we're about to turn in. Gentle braking, fully off all pedals, and then feed it on as it tucks in. Use the curb, brake at the end of the curb, down to second, tuck it onto the apex curb, and floor it all the way through. And again, look at the amount of steering angle I'm using. It's very minimal. I mean, I'm not even 45 degrees for these two corners, I'm less. So there we go. So that's a set of tyres that have took a bit of punishment. Okay, I've now done 6 laps, right? Now, after we'd done 3 laps, I think it was, we had, almost the same tyre wear that we've got now. So literally, those last 3 laps that I've just done have pretty much cost me 0 tyre wear. Why? Because I'm not hard and late on the, I'm not late on the brakes, I'm not too hard on the brakes, and I'm not staying on the brakes when I'm going into a corner. Now, I understand it. People are going to do it. They're going to hit the brakes and they're going to stay on the brakes as they try to go into a corner because they're finding that they're not slowing down enough. They may brake at the point that I do and go, well, I can't get it slowed down. But actually, what you may find in some corners, like here, that what you're doing is staying on the brakes and making the problem worse. Okay, well, there's my tips for the Red Bull Ring. I hope that has been helpful to everybody. What I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to end this live stream, and then I'm going to do another one about the next car in the DGT League, the Tomahawk, right, to show the difference between that car and this car, but I want to do it on a separate video. Okay, so I'm going to end this stream. Have a good one, everybody. See you later. Bye-bye.